take a walk with me, not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Super excited about our guest today. But before I get to him, because I think he deserves, and rightfully so, everyone does, him especially, deserves a special welcome. So if you haven't done so already, we'll get to him momentarily. Please jump right over to your favorite social media of choice, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Like us, follow us at OPS Podcast Show. And if you're willing to take it a step further, go right on over to opspodcast.com. Leave a review there. Leave a voicemail. Those are fun things to do. Speaking of maybe not so fun things to do, now, you guys might remember this if you've hung out for a little bit, and I think some of you have. We have a map in the studio, and we started out, we're just going to put a pin mark where people are from. And that's fun, right? Just to kind of see where the show's gone, see, what states we've been in. And I've joked for a while now that, we cross states off as they come off the United States list. But I never, in my wildest dreams, ever thought I was going to have to put a pin mark in the city of Durham, North Carolina. And sadly today, I think I have to put a pin mark in the city of Durham, North Carolina. Help me welcome in my friend TJ McKnight. TJ, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Now, we joked pre-show that you're in enemy territory. You're a spy in enemy territory because your alliances lie where? Let's settle this once and for all.
I'm from Durham, but I'm a huge Carolina Tar Heels fan. So it's like I'm a spy in enemy territory. I've actually worked on Duke's campus. I've actually worked in a restaurant where several Duke players would come in all the time, and I would, joke and rib with them. But at the same time, we both have this common hatred of all things Duke and all things Durham. So as much as I love my home city, my hometown, Bull City, always repping it wherever I'm at, I can't live there. And I think that goes to everyone that has ever, been born and raised in Durham. We love Durham, but, we can't live there too long. So unless the Lord takes us back there.
I'm going to pray that doesn't happen. Is that okay? Can I light a candle, prayer visual, whatever it takes?
That's fine. My wife will probably join you in on that prayer.
Her and I could hold hands. It'll be a moment.
Right.
I actually, for years now, have told people instead of, the phrase, not that I've ever said this, maybe in an anger fashion, because nobody's ever said this. You have that phrase, you can go to, and some people will say HE double hockey stick. I say, well, you can go to Durham. And people look at me and they're like, what? And I'm like, never mind.
It's a North Carolina thing. You'll get it.
Never mind. I only spent 18 months there. So am I truly, help me with this, because you're a Carolinian, truly, right? Yep. You were born there, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. I was born in Camp Lejeune.
Oh, wow.
North Carolina. So it's in Jacksonville. And so I was only there for 18 months. So am I technically a Carolinian by birth? I am a Tar Heel by birth, but that's what I think. But you as a Carolinian, help me with that.
Yeah, I mean, for 18 months, you were born, maybe not raised, but... but you were here for 18 months. That counts for something.
My birth certificate and passport both say Carolina, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry was born in Ohio, but, he was raised in Charlotte. So, I mean, technically, him and LeBron were born in the same hospital, so.
Wow.
Hey.
Fun fact. Didn't know that. So that was a fun fact.
Yeah.
So, well, let's get into this because I'm sure people didn't come to hear our hatred towards all things Durham. It's easy to do. Easy to do.
It's easy to do.
So easy.
And you can grab somebody else.
Here's what I'm going to lead off with you because I think we got to know this, right? What size shoes do you wear?
Size 13.
All right. And now here's the most important question. Style, brand, what are we wearing?
Oh, I'm big on Jordans. I wear Jordans, I wear Nikes, and honestly, I wear anything that looks good with my outfits. But, I also work in corporate, so, you can't wear J's.
Says who? Just saying.
Right? So, I have, I do like to wear my Kohans if I'm going out or, certain churches, where they still dress up. Then I'm wearing wearing, maybe my, snakeskin shoes or something like that, try to step it out a little bit. Any other day when you catch me, I'm either in a pair of Nikes, whether it's some slides, shoes, or some J's. And it's a funny thing too. Like I literally just recently became like a mini sneakerhead. So it's like I started collecting shoes like as of late. And so I love the Jordan 1s. I've got like 2 pairs of Jordan 1s so far. My wife is like, you need some black shoes. I'm like, they don't have Jordan 1s in all black. And the ones that they do have in all black, they're like Duke blue or they're red, and they cost, ridiculous amount of money. And I'm not going to put all that, Jordans are already expensive, but if you go for all black and red Jordan, man, that thing is about $600-$700. Like I love my family. I'm not going to sacrifice food on the table just so I can look fly. So,
I'm sorry we couldn't pay the mortgage this month, honey. I had to buy some J's.
Right. I needed these J's. So, I mean, hey. But I'm in a position now where the Lord has blessed us. I've became a sneakerhead, so I start collecting a little bit more frequently than I have in years past. So, I'm just thankful that I can do that because now I can look fly when I'm, going out and about and, doing things. My wife, she used to kid me for years because I would wear like literally the same shoes like 2 or 3 times. And she would be like, why you don't ever buy you any shoes? I'm like, you don't understand. Like this stuff is expensive. Like it's expensive for guys. For girls, not so much, but for guys, like buying shoes, buying clothes, it's expensive. Like you can't go to the store and like, yeah, I'm going and, maybe hopefully spend $50 and buy a shirt. No, you spend $50, man, you be just good enough to buy just one shirt. You can't buy jeans for under $50 unless now I've recently noticed like that, unless you go like Fashion Nova. I love Fashion Nova or Shein, but you go to a regular store, you can't spend any type of money, less than $100 and think that you're going to walk out with a full outfit. So
I got some 11s, all black 11s.
Oh yeah, I like those.
And they are shiny. And I was wearing them to church after I got them. And this guy just comes over to me. He's like, man, I had to come see your cap and gowns. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like staring at my shoes the whole time. I felt very objectified. And I was like, bro, my eyes are
here. I'm up here.
I'm up here. I figured you'd like that. I saved that for you. So
I like that.
My favorites are probably 11s. And then I have a pair of 32s. They came out couple of marches ago. Yeah. They have the championships on the back of them. Should say 21 on the back of them, but sadly Kansas, anyway, we're moving on. So getting into you, and that was a shoe. Great. I'm glad we got to go down that road together. That was fun. But getting into you, like we're talking about in this new series, this walk away moment. Now I got to be honest, when I first started thinking about it, I'm like, man, I have a laundry list of walkaway moments. And, this as a digital creator and the spaces that you're in, you throw stuff out on social and you're thinking, okay, who's going to grab it? Who's going to kind of, move towards it? What comments are you going to get?
Yeah.
And people really resonated with this walkaway moment. I mean, really walkaway moment. Like people are like, oh my gosh, like I have one. You need to have me on. I need to talk about this. I'm like, I'm not your counselor. I'm not your priest. I'm just a podcast host.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, I got quite a few responses. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of shocked by that. But at the same time, you have one too. And so what is that? What is that walkaway moment for you?
Man, I have several walkaway moments, but I won't get into all of them because, we could be here all day and we only have an hour. But I mean, I'll start off with this one because it's kind of a joke. My first walkaway moment came when I was a kid and I was in middle school. I was an idiot. I had a crush on this girl and I was like so infatuated with this girl. I could not, I would wake up and think about her all day. Come to find out, I found out my best friend likes her too. And then come to find out she likes my best friend. So me being the sweet, humble guy, I had to walk away my feelings and set them two together and watch them, live in happily preteen love and all that stuff. And I was just like, I learned from that lesson, like, I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again. I would say on the more serious side, I've had a more stringent walk away moment recently. And without getting into too much detail, I'll start here. In 2019, my wife and I, we were members of this church, and I had just become recently ordained, and things were looking really, really good. Like, we were, I don't say we were like skyrocketing or taking off, but, things were looking good. And then all of a sudden, we're about 2.5 years in on our house that we had just recently built out here in Clayton, North Carolina. And it was just, everything is looking good. But, some debts were starting to pile up. Things were starting to get in the way. And it's funny, I had told my wife right before this event happened, I told her, I'm not taking a job if it's a contract. I'm not taking a contract. I will never do that again, because we went through that before and it didn't turn out right. And it put us in a bind, and it put us in such immense stress. I was like, I'll never do that again. Well, fast forward to this point in time in 2019, maybe about in the summer of 2019, right after I graduated from getting my master's in information systems or in IT, I got this job opportunity in Charlotte, North Carolina that I just could not refuse. And it was, here we go, a contract. And so it was like, I was telling my wife, like, I'm conflicted because, I just said I would never do another contract. But this is a contract opportunity. And me and my wife were going back and forth. And I'm telling her, I was like, hey, they really want me. And they're promising that I can make this amount of money if I, stick this contract out. They'll take care of us while we're down there. I had to write everything up so that everything, looks good on paper. And I was like, this is the way, this is what we're going to do. This is what the Lord is telling us to do. And I felt so adamant in my heart. I was like, we got to move to Charlotte. It was like, we'll sell the house. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll just go. My wife was like, no, we're not leaving. Like, no, I'm not leaving my family. Like, I'm not doing it. We just bought this house. And I was like, well, all right. So I went to the Lord about it. I prayed about it. And the Lord had told me that my time and my season in this particular church was up and that I needed to move. And when I initially did accept, after all that, I did accept the contract. I did accept the position. My wife and I, we settled on, well, I'll go down for a little bit to, fill things out and then come back and we'll make that decision. And so I went down for about a week or two. Everything felt right. Even the stuff that the Lord had given me, he had told me, it was hitting me even more when I was down there. It's not because it was, new city, big, bright, everything, like, you're just enamored by everything. But no, it was because, I remember talking to one of my friends and I was telling him, I was like, the Lord told me it's my time to go. It's our time to go. For some reason, it's our time to go. But for some reason, we kept holding on to, relationships and stuff here and holding on to things here. And so when we made the decision to finally move down, we moved down in September of 2019, right, when school started for the kids. We got the kids in school and everything. Everything was going great. We were still kind of traveling back and forth between here in Clayton, or I'm sorry, not here in Clayton, but in Charlotte to Raleigh to go to this church and everything. And what happened was eventually this great time, and this one particular Sunday, we decided to try out this church in Charlotte. And when we tried this church out, we fell in love with it immediately. We immediately fell in love with it. And we started going there for, a couple Sundays here and there. And I remember having this conversation with my spiritual leader at the time. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, I really feel, like something's here. And I'm like spiritually conflicted. Like, how do I navigate through this? And the conversation that we had took a left. And I was like, wait, why? How did it get here? Why did it take a left? I'm trying to figure things out. Why are we here? And it took an extreme left when I ended up getting hurt behind some public comments that were made by my spiritual leader. And it just so happened that I was like, wow, I can't believe all this is really kind of happening the way that it's happening. When I remember I was just thinking, it was like, well, God, yeah, you were right. Maybe it is our time to go after all this stuff is happening. I turned around, me and my wife, and I mean, she was well aware of everything that was going on. And we decided to just continue to go into this church in Charlotte. And I remember sitting in that church one Sunday, and the pastor gets up and he says, if you're not supposed to be here, you need to leave. You don't need to be in this church. You need to be in another church. And I took that and I was like, wow. I mean, the service is great, right? I mean, it was everything. But when he said that, the Holy Spirit literally sat in me and said, that was for you. You need to go where you're supposed to be at. And it just so happened, like, my wife, she has family down in Charlotte. They have a church. Our hearts and our minds were always connected to, you know, if we ever moved down, we would go and help them. But we were just kind of so enamored by the different and uniqueness of this church that we wanted to, you know, we were really going to join. But when the pastor said that, the Lord spoke to me and said, you're supposed to be at your aunt and uncle's church. We started going to their church. Everything was going well. And it was like, man, we really, we see now why God brought us down here to Charlotte. And then things were going semi-decent on the job to where I felt that, you know, hey, they were seriously going to really, you know, bring me on permanent and everything was going to be good. Well, about January of 2020, we had, my manager was telling me for like, you know, for the past like 5 months, was like, yeah, we're going to bring you on this, that, and third. So I go to interview for this job for the permanent spot. After the interview and everything is done, I did not get the position. They gave it to someone else. And I'm just sitting there conflicted and torn. And I remember my manager and his manager, they pulled me into the office and she was just telling me everything, why they went with the other candidate. They felt like the other candidate was a better choice. And I was just hurt. And I was just like, all I saw at that moment was red, because I'm like, I literally sold my house. I gave up everything to come down here. I literally had to walk away from stuff that I didn't want to walk away in the moment, but I did all that because of this promise or this thing that y'all told in this job. And I don't even have the job. And it was just like a full circle moment. I remember like, it was a rough time for me and my wife, because we just sat there and I remember telling her, and it was the hardest thing I had to tell her, because I'm like, we both started this whole journey saying we will never do another contract. And here we are facing the exact same situation. And we're sitting on the bed, we're crying, we're trying to figure out, you know, Lord, was this the right move to make? You know, God, you told me that, you know, I'm supposed to move down. I'm supposed to do these things. I'm supposed to be here. But we're going through all of these different things, and, you know, it's not panning out the way that it's supposed to be. And then come to find out, more drama and more stuff is happening back at home with the church that we was at. I'm being brought up in things, and I'm just like, I'm being accused of things, and I'm like, I'm down here in Charlotte. I'm going through all of these things at the same time. Like, I'm trying to figure out how my kids are going to eat, you know? And we have all of these different nuances that's going on. I remember going back to work that next day, and my manager, she told me, she said, we're going to move you to another team. This other team has an opening and they want you. And so I was like, well, good. All right, because I felt like y'all screwed me. Y'all screwed me over. And so I was already kind of like done. I'm like applying to everywhere else. I'm like, I'm out. I'm just going to, if they give me the job, I'm going to take it, but I'm going to like ghost them and do them. I'm coming up with all these different, you know, strategies of how I'm going to get them back and everything like that. So this was about February of 2020. And, you know, we all know what was going on around February 2020.
Not really familiar with what happened in February.
I'm not really familiar about February 2020.
Can't really remember where I was or what I was doing, but yeah, go on, man.
February 2020, things go really downhill because, you know, it all started with Deontay Wilder getting knocked out by Tyson Fury. I'm like, come on, dude, it's Black History Month, and you know, you're not representing Black folk right now. So it's like a combination of all these different things going on. Just by the way, I mean, I was actually kind of rooting for Tyson Fury, but I was going for Deontay Wilder as well. But back to the story. But, you know, February 2020 rolls around. I start this new position. I'm starting with this new team. Everything is going great. It's going better. And things are now starting to kind of turn around for me. And so March 2020 happens. We all know what happens March 2020. Things shut down permanently. We're back. We're literally back at home. We're back. I'm still in Charlotte, you know, and I won't say we were stuck, But it was like, here we are. We got all these different things going on. And I'm just reminded, it was like God was telling me, you're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. And so all of these different things are still going on back at home. Name being brought up and dragged through the mud and all this other stuff. And I just remember it was about May. So we're going to fast forward to about May of 2020. And it's my time to go up, to apply for the permanent position for this job now, because there was another contract. I applied for this job. I actually get the job. And it's funny because I was actually applying for another job. I actually went through I was in the final round in the interviews, and they just stopped talking to me. And it just come to find out, when COVID hit, they had a hiring freeze. So they couldn't bring me on. The job that I got with down in Charlotte, what happened is May 2020, they brought me on, but I was the last hire that they could make before they went on a hiring freeze. And it was like, and I'm just sitting here like, God, wow. Like all of this stuff that I had going, like I had went through, it was like, here we are in May 2020. Mind you, people were losing their jobs in May 2020. People were losing their jobs left and right. And yet I was able to secure a permanent position, full benefits, all these things, everything that was initially promised to me months ago. I was able to secure it in May. And it was like, wow, this is really God. Only God could do something like that. And then full transparency with the whole situation with church was like, that was deteriorating. And I'm talking about the church back home. That was deteriorating, but the church that we had started going to, my family's church that we started going to in Charlotte, things were really progressing really well. They loved us, we loved being there. And I had gotten to a place where now I'm, setting up their production stuff for Sundays because, when COVID hit, all the churches had to go virtual. We didn't, this church, we were, maybe 30 to 50 members deep, we don't have a full production budget like a lot of these large churches do. So it's like, how can we, do something every Sunday and, still put something out? And they put me over that. And, I put together a pretty decent, I won't say it was great, but, pretty decent.
Stop. Come on now. It was good, right?
I put together like a really good production for them for the church and for Bible study and everything like that through COVID, and helped us get through it. And so it was like, I remember, and then by the time I would say, now granted, by the time I would say about July of 2020, everything really had gotten to a head with us and the old church. And it was just like, I had never been through so much hurt in that time frame, in that time span. And I was just reminded of God, telling me it was your time to leave. If you had left when I told you to leave, I don't say none of this stuff would have happened, but all of this other stuff possibly wouldn't have happened if it's a huge possibility. It probably wouldn't have happened if we had just severed ties when God told me to sever ties then. But because of us, kind of walking away, moving to Charlotte, going through everything that we went through, all the hurt, all the pain, all the drama, and all the with the drama with the job and stuff, all of that I would say it was necessary for us to go through those things because it really bonded us, me and my wife and our kids. It bonded us together. Those moments when you have to walk away and that you have to walk away from something, it only bonds you close because you realize that I have nobody else to lean on, especially with my wife. I'm looking at her, she's looking at me. We had no one else to lean on but each other. How do we make it through this? It's only because of our bond, and it's only because of our immense faith in Jesus that it really pulled us through that really rough time. It was a really dark time for us. And I remember August, the summer time frame, we had just found out that we were, expecting our third child. And so it's like, hey, we were bonding.
I'm going to need you to define what bonding is. Not following you on that.
Define bonding. Right. But we were bonded.
Here's the thing is, I don't know if you know this cat or not. John Waller, you ever heard of this guy? He sang this song from Fireproof. This While I'm Waiting. It says, while I'm waiting, will I serve you? While I'm waiting, will I worship you? While I'm waiting, I will not grow faint. I'll be running the race even while I'm waiting. How does that resonate with you?
It resonates so profoundly because that was us during that time frame. Because the biggest thing that stuck out to me was, and really, hindsight's 2020. I think about it now, and I tell my wife, and I kid my wife all the time. I was like, we really didn't have to sell our house. Like, we really didn't have to sell our house. I was only in the office for 6 months, and then after that, I was at home for the rest of the time. God, housing prices went up. It was like, I look at the price and I'm like, okay, yeah, we could have really stayed and, really kind of sold it and got some really good money on it. It was necessary for us to sell and to move and to walk away because we had to go through all of that in order for God to take us and to plant us where he has us right now. And so oftentimes, you think while you're going through all of those different things that, it's hard to go through those things. It's hard to navigate through those things, but it's necessary that you go through it because while you're going through it, you realize you know what, God, yes, I'm going through this rough time in my life. There's so much going on, but I made that conscious decision to walk away. You told me to leave. I left. I may have kept, some ties there, but, I'm going to trust you in the midst of it all. I'm going to trust you while I'm going through all of this because I don't know what's the end goal is going to be. Only you know what's going to come out of this, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to trust you. And that was really our heart during that time. I won't say that my faith, I don't say my faith left me. It was definitely shaken and it was definitely stirred. But if anything, I realized that, and this is the biggest thing, I realized that in that moment, with us going through everything, that God was really speaking to me and he was really telling me what to do. And even though we were going through, it was like, okay, I'm standing on the word that God gave me. He told me in 2019 that it was our time to go. And we're in the midst of all this craziness that's going on. I won't say in a foreign land, but, Charlotte is not the same from Durham or Clayton, North Carolina. If you're from North Carolina, Clayton is very rural and semi-country. Charlotte is this big bustling city, the biggest city that we have in North Carolina. At the same time, it's while you're going through all these different things, it's God, I have to trust you in the midst of it all because you're the only one that knows how to pull us through.
But there's some that would push on that and say, well, wait a second, hold on a second. If you're such a spiritual faith guy and you have such this amazing relationship with Jesus and you got people in the background, I think Durant calls it a lot of noise, rightfully so. Sometimes he says you have to ignore the noise to go forward. I've heard Durant say that. Kevin Durant is who I'm talking about. I don't know. I mean, I would have a hard time if there was a lot of noise from another church that I was leaving to jump right back into another church. I mean, I would be mad. I would almost be like, God, you're supposed to stop all of this. But you didn't. You pressed right into that.
And you know what? That's a very interesting perspective because, I remember talking to one of my friends, one of my close friends about it. And he was like, any other regular person would have left the church altogether. The stuff that you went through, and I haven't even gotten to the meat of everything that I've been through, but the stuff that I went through, he was like, any normal person would have just said, forget it. I'm done with church. I'm done with God. But I think that because of the fact that I love God so much, I'll never compare the stuff that we went through to Job, because that was what Job went through was just horrific. No one wants to go through that. And, no one should compare their story to that. At the same time, it's I understand what Job says, though he slayed me, yet I trust him. Yeah, I'm going through all these things, but I'm standing on what God told me to do. And because I love him so much, because I reverence him so much, because I trust him, I trust his word. This is what he told me to do. I'm going to stand on his word. And it's hard because I wanted to give up several times. Plenty of times I wanted to give up. God was consistently putting things in my path, not obstacles, because most people say he didn't put obstacles. He put opportunities in my path for me to keep going. The biggest opportunity he put in my path during all of that was a radio show opportunity that turned into One Faith, which is my podcast. That became my outlet on how to correct a lot of these, negative things, or how to really bond and bring everyone together, and how to touch on all these tough topics and things, because it's necessary. People go through some real stuff in life, and some people go through some real stuff with church, and it's like, how do I navigate through that without sacrificing my faith? And it's like, this is how we do it, and this is how we're here to help you along the way. We're here to help steward you in that way, because we went through it. This is my testimony, and I thank God that I stuck with it, because there were times when I was just like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But if it wasn't for my wife's uncle, who was our pastor, that our church in Charlotte, Breakthrough Ministries, if it wasn't for them, we would have given up a long time ago. But it was because of their love and how they showed us so much love, the love of Christ. It really helped push us through.
So let me get this straight. The name of the ministry is what again?
Breakthrough.
You ever put that together?
Honestly, now that you said that, no, I hadn't put that together.
You got to break through this.
Right. We got a breakthrough while we were going to Breakthrough in Charlotte.
And you got family walking with you to help you break through,
to navigate us through it. And that was the most beautiful part. And this is why I say it helped. When I say it bonded us, like me and my wife, it bonded us, and not in that way, but it.
Let's be real, it did. Come on now.
Right. It did, but it bonded us, but it also bonded our families, because they saw what we were going. They knew the truth. Like, if anyone would try to say that this happened, no, this didn't happen, or everyone tried to say we were lying, like, no, they saw it. They were walking through it with us. They knew everything, because I sat in my uncle's office, livid, mad. And the only thing that he could do was give me spiritual advice on how to handle these things, how to move forward, because this is the key. And this is why it's so important that you have such an influential spiritual leader in your life, because when you're going through one of these tough times, these tough seasons, he really honed in on was your future, not your current situation. He said that you're going to be this person. You're on a trajectory to be this person. How are you going to handle it as that person? Not how you feel now in this situation where you are now, but how are you going to handle it in that person's shoes? So now I have to take off the minister or the elder's cap and put on the pastor's cap and be like, okay, well, how am I going to handle this as a pastor in the future? If someone does something like this, how am I going to handle it as a pastor? Not putting other people down, not putting other people or casting them aside, but how am I going to handle this so that I'm, showing love, grace, and mercy to people that just downright hate you, or despise you. And that's what I learned through that season, was just, I have to put on a different hat and see it through that lens. And also have to put on the hat of Christ and learn how to love difficult people in spite of all of the stuff that we've gone through. And I'm not saying that you have to, restore relationships with difficult people. No, because, once things were severed, and once we completely walked away, there's peace in just, hey, you're in your corner and I'm in my corner, but at the same time, we did have a moment of reconciliation where we did talk. We did, hash out all these different feelings and different things. And in my opinion, I thought that it was a great conversation, and we both walked away on a neutral place. And it was just like, here we are. We're able to now move forward. There's closure there. That's one of the things that the Bible says. If you have an ought against your brother and sister, go and, try to make amends, and this is God's way of really keeping the brotherhood or keeping Christians really intact, because, we don't want to settle all of our matters and stuff in court. We don't want to settle all of our stuff in that realm. Now, let's make this clear, because, most people will take that and say, well, if someone raped me, I'm going straight to, yes, go straight to the police, handle that in court, stuff like that. Any kind of personal or physical infliction that has been done to you goes to the proper authorities and get that taken care of. But any other little like squabbles or stupid nuances or stupid drama that you can, hash out by just being a man or being a woman and go and talk to each other and really understanding each other's side, That's the stuff that he's talking about. All of this petty little nonsense stuff that we tend to blow up, those things, we have to hash those things out. And we have to really come to that perspective of, we can be brothers and sisters in Christ, but we can also be brothers and sisters in Christ if you're over there and I'm over there. And I love my brother that's over there, but hey, thank God for him, but I'm gonna be over here.
There's a couple things that come to mind. First off, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that, because I think so many times, people of faith think, okay, I can never have a disagreement with somebody. I can never have a different perspective. There's certain things that I'm not going to compromise on. And if you want to compromise, hey, that's on you, right? That's on you. Okay, whatever. Well, I'm going to go my way. You're going to go your way. I think, wasn't it Paul and Barnabas? They had a little separation. Like maybe they were fighting over, who's better, Duke or North Carolina. We know the answer to that, right? We know the answer to that. But that's what I mean. Like we never hear of them reconciling. We don't know if it took place. Scripture doesn't say. But I will say, as far as it depends upon me, and Scripture does say this, I'm going to be at peace with all people.
That's right.
It also says in Philippians, I had to look this up because I had to make sure I was right on this. It says, instead, in every situation, with prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, tell your request to God. And the peace that passes all understanding, will guard your heart and your minds in Christ Jesus. And I think for you, when I hear that, those are the two things that come to mind.
Yeah.
Now, is your life at peace right now?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel at peace with the decision?
Oh, yeah. It was so funny because like going through all of that, God, why are you taking us through that? And I remember talking to one of my closest friends about this. One of my best friends, man. I thank God for him. He told me then, he was like, it was necessary for you to go through all that. And I've said that, throughout the story, but he was like, it was necessary for you to go through all that. God had to take you through that just so he could show you who he is. It was not peaceful. During that time frame, it was not peaceful. I hadn't been through anything like that before, especially, going through it and, with someone that you had so much respect and love for and you looked up to. And that's really the thing that really broke my heart the most, because it was like when you're being accused of things and and this person knows you, and it's like, why won't this person have my back in this moment? Instead, they just threw me under the bus. And that what really broke me, because it's like, I compared it to the relationship of a father and a son and their child. If your child came to you, you're a father, right? If your child comes to you with someone with a false accusation, someone accusing them of something, would you just throw your child under the bus and take the word of someone else? Or would you at least, get the full truth of the story and then make your decision on that? And by getting the full truth, that means, okay, well, I'm going to bring my child here. We're going to have a conversation. And I'm going to bring the person that's accusing my child, and we're going to have a conversation. Between the two stories, whether one is always going to be a lie, the other is going to be the truth. Even within the lie, you'll always find the truth. I resonated on it. Was like, if this person was my spiritual father, I esteemed them to be, they wouldn't have handled it in that situation, because I have a father. I know how my father handled these situations when I was growing up as a kid. It was, and this is so funny. So I don't say I'm big in WWE now, but as a kid, as a youth, I was big in WWE. The Rock was my favorite wrestler. He is my favorite. He is at the top of my Mount Rushmore.
Sting, then Ultimate Warrior, or maybe vice versa.
But The Rock is right there. Okay, he is there. It's The Rock, Stone Cold, everybody else, whatever. So
wait a second. No Sting, no Ultimate Warrior. Hold on.
No. They're way before my time. So Sting was around, but Ultimate Warrior was way before my time when I started watching wrestling. The Rock is like right there. So as a kid, me and my friends in the neighborhood, we were just stupid. So we would just go around mimicking all the wrestling moves, throwing each other off the house. And we were crazy. Like we had a trampoline. We would be doing wrestling moves on the trampoline. So one day, we decided to just get so creative. And we said we're going to put each other through a table. Problem is, we didn't have a table to put each other through, but our neighbor did. And this is so horrible, but growing up in Durham, you have such creative minds. But we stole our neighbor's table. I'm admitting to grand theft now. I'm gonna stop. But we stole our neighbor's table, and it was my idea, and it was solely my idea. We stole my neighbor's table because it was just sitting there. I was like, let's use their table. Set the table up. My friend puts me through the table. The minute I go through the table and it breaks, they scatter. They leave me. I'm on the table. I'm on the ground.
They weren't white, right? They didn't like leave the one black guy there. All right, sorry.
No. I'll give you a little bit more context. Our neighbor was white.
Thank you. I needed
kids.
that. There had to be a racial element here. We just gotta get that out there.
There was a racial element to it. Come on, we're in Durham.
All white people are in Durham, right?
There are all white people in Durham. I want y'all to know that. There's a lot of them. But we stole their table. They put me through the table. All my friends, they scatter. I'm on the ground in the table. And next thing you know, I hear my neighbor opening their door. I get up and I take off running. Their table is literally between my friend's house and their house. And it's broken. What's happening? Now, mind you, it was like, I was maybe 10, 11, maybe 12 at the time. I think I was like 10. I wasn't that old. I was like 10 at the time. And I remember we were actually on our way to go on vacation that day. So it was like, I did all this before vacation hit. So I did something real stupid. And so we leave, we go on vacation. We come back. And when we come back, that's when we're dealing with all of this stuff. My dad, he gets in the middle of it because, my neighbors, they would tell my friends, it was like, it was TJ's idea. TJ went through the table. It was all on TJ. And I'm sitting there like, it was them. I'm sitting there lying and saying it was them all along. It was like, it was not me, it was them. My dad, he brings me in and he sits down and he's talking with me. No one knows their child more than a parent. My dad, he sits me down and he calmly, we're having a conversation. He asked me, TJ, did you do it? And, he knows he knows my tales when I'm lying and whatnot. And I'm just like all over the place. I'm like, no, it was them. My mom, she had my back the whole time. She was ready to just kill everybody. She was like, my baby said he didn't do it, so he didn't do it. He would never do something like that. But my dad was like, TJ, did you do it? And after he kept asking me like 2 or 3 times, I broke down and said, yeah, I did it. It was all me. And he was like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. He was like, we're going to buy this lady her table again. We're going to buy her table. And then you're going to go and apologize to everyone. And you're going to go from me. We're going to make amends that way. And I was just like, okay. But funny story is, come to find out, this is the same, like, I didn't know this. Like, I had learned this then. My parents told me, it was like, the lady, the table that you stole, it's like, that lady saved your life one day when you was a kid. Because when I was a kid, like, I just randomly had a seizure at the dinner table. And my mom, she just ran down the street because she knew that she was a nurse. Ran down the street, pulled this lady out of her house. Like, this lady, I don't know what she was doing. Maybe she was in the shower, I don't know. Pulled her out of her house. And she came and she saved my life that day. And it was like, and my mom was like, this is how you want to repay her? By breaking her table and then lying? I was like, I didn't know. I would have had more reverence for that if I knew. But at the same time, it was like, it was like that full circle moment. It was like, wow. It was like, I did something really stupid and really dumb. And I almost like, cost my friendships. And I just remember my dad in that moment just being that calm mediator of knowing, how to handle things. I'm going back to the church scenario, when I think of my father in that stance and a spiritual father, I kind of put those two together because, I know how my father would handle things. Now, the spiritual father is completely different, but at the same time, they should know you spiritually enough to know, when is my child lying to me, or when is my child, really telling me the truth. In this scenario, I was really telling the truth. I told the full truth, for nothing but the truth, so help me God. And it was just, it was just construed in a way to really bring a lot of harm. And I think that what happened was, it was necessary for me to go through that because I had to see, how to really, truly lean and trust in God in that moment and really understand, how to be a spiritual leader in that regard. Because what if someone comes to me with something like that? How am I going to handle it? Am I going to throw them under the bus like I was done? Or am I going to like really sit both parties down, really get to the root of what happened and really find the truth in it and find a remediation in that?
First off, that's a fantastic story. I didn't realize you were so young. I thought we were same age. So now I'm wasting all these analogies on wrestlers and all this other stuff. You know, you don't even remember the 93, Carolina final with
I was
Michigan.
3 years old.
Yeah, you don't.
I was 3 years old in 93.
You don't even remember that in 93. Yeah, it was a great game. Chris Webber travels. Anyway. But I hear you in that. For me, a little of my walk away moment, it's away from a church too. A little different circumstances though. It was my own doing, my own sin. I know caused the walk away moment. A lot of embarrassment, a lot of trauma I put my family through. But I love the fact that you talk about the reconciliation, and I love the fact that you even kind of illustrate like, hey, you can still be, we'll air quote friends, but you can be over there doing, Jesus and sharing Jesus, and I'm gonna be over here sharing and doing Jesus over here. And I love that aspect. I love the fact that you can still again be cordial and be friendly, but you have to be in the same fold. So I think that's important to remember. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right now. How can people get in touch with you? Like, what's the best way someone can connect with you? I know you're doing a lot of stuff. We joked kind of again pre-show. You're doing everything, it feels like, and you're always busy, but you're never too busy to have a conversation. And that's what I love most about you, man. So how can folks connect?
Yeah, you can find me on IG. I'm actually more active on IG than I am on Facebook. And that's intentional because I'm kind of moving away from Facebook because Facebook is just for family and friends. But if you want to get in contact with me, my IG or Instagram is McKnight.jr. And of course, my podcast is We Are One Faith, all together. The podcast, We Are One Faith. If you DM me on either one, I'm always open to talk. And also, I'm on TikTok, but it's kind of hard to DM people on TikTok like that. But,
I don't even have a TikTok, so should I get a TikTok?
Yeah,
I don't feel like I need one more thing to do.
It's a lot, but get one. It's a great platform. But I'm on TikTok as well, and you can find me there. Same thing. I think it's tlmcknight.jr or TJ McKnight, whichever one. But or if you want to email me, you can email me at admin@weareonefaith.com. If you trying to get in touch with me for anything, those are the three best ways to get in contact with me. And honestly, I would say the IG, you just, hit me up in the DM. That is the quickest because I see everything.
So despite your name, you are not a former R&B early 90s singer, right?
Right. It's funny because I always wanted to be three things. When I was a kid with my name, I was like, I used to hate my name. I wanted to be named Brian. And I did not know that there was a famous person named Brian McKnight at the time when I was just a kid. It was like,
you take us back to one.
Right. But I always wanted to be an actor, a singer, or I wanted to play in the NBA. And I was like, my name is perfect for all three. Like, and I always wanted to play at UNC, but God said otherwise.
I wouldn't mind being the UNC ball boy. Let me just say that.
Right,
I got no hooping skills, but I wouldn't mind a little bounce pass to Hansborough or something like that. That'd be fun.
Sweet, right?
Well, speaking of UNC, good segue. I think you're the first person that will truly celebrate my North Carolina Cup.
It's beautiful, man.
It is. Here's the sad part though, is it was on a shelf. I don't know if this will come through on the camera. Okay. You see a little white stripe there. It literally split in half off the shelf.
That hurts.
It's a broken vessel.
It's a broken vessel.
For God's purposes, just like us.
Yeah.
Just like us.
But it's still useful. That's purpose.
Well, let's play our silliness together. This is senseless. This is how we like to wrap up the show. So just some 5 silly questions for you. Don't worry. You don't have to answer all 5. And then 6th is our silly wild card question. So here we go. I'm going to roll for you. Ooh, a number 1. I know it's the North Carolina logo, but I promise it's a number 1. And it's this. What's something that you've seen, so seen with your eyes, seen that made you laugh, smile, and cry?
All at the same time?
Sure.
Oh man, laugh, smile, and cry. I would say when my kids were born, every single one of them. Like, you know, I didn't necessarily cry in the moment, but you know, I smiled, I laughed, and especially with my first son, I think I did kind of cry a little bit after it was all said and done, because he was actually born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. So he didn't initially cry at the moment. And so it was like a pause and everybody was like, what's going on? And then he started crying. And it was just like, oh, thank God. And I just remember thinking, you know, like maybe afterwards, like when I was holding him one night in the hospital, it was just like, man, it was like, you really probably shouldn't be here with that umbilical cord wrapped around your neck. I mean, and it just so happened that everything was going so fast. But it was like, man, every child I say is different. You know, I love each child on a different level. And it's only because I love them all the same. But it's, you know, each child is different. You have to love them different. But yeah, my children, when they were born, I definitely laughed, smiled, and cried over my kids. I love them that much. So yeah.
Well, I only got one, so I don't have to try to divide my love or love them differently.
Divide my love.
I just got one, so, and she's, you know, 15 going on 27. So if you need a babysitter,
hey, always, you know,
let me know. I'll send her out. You and your wife could, what'd you say, bond again? Maybe. All
right, we can bond,
connect or somehow.
We can know each other, like the Bible says.
Oh, right, know each other. Yeah, I like that. So guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that's it. That's all. That's our show today. I don't know about you. I know this might bring some people back, but we actually did a whole season, believe it or not, of people leaving the church. I didn't know TJ back then. But I know for some of you, the minute I say leave the church, you probably already left. You've never come back. You're like, that worship band was terrible. The pastor's preaching was horrible. People judged me because I had a Duke shirt on. And rightfully so, you should be judged. Just kidding, of course, for that. But I mean this in all sincerity. Do you have a church? Now, I know the minute I say that, some of you are just quaking. You're freaking. You're scared. No, I don't. I'm done. I'm done with church. Why, though? That's my question for you. If you don't have a church, why? So ponder that this week. I don't have a church. Why not? Let me know. I'd be curious of your why not. Let me know. OPSpodcast.com is a great place to let me know. You, of course, can let us know on social media at OPS Podcast Show. Like TJ, you can DM us there. DM him as well. But I would, honest to God, be curious why you don't. Let me know. And don't forget this either before we go. One last thing. Do not forget. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes.